So, welcome to the Dwarven Tavern. Uh, my name is Casper, and I have played D&D for 20 years, and GM seriously for around 10. I'm Adventures League author, writer, and organizer of my local town's AL community, where I'm also a game master. And today at the Dwarven Tavern, we are rambling about 5e D&D and the things we want to be better. And today our theme will be subclasses. And since these are a bit more comprehensive in nature, we will only be talking about one. And again, today I'm joined by my friend Jonas. Um, Played D&D together for 4 years and known each other even longer. And he is a GM at my local Adventures League community. So, Jonas, welcome back to the Dwarven Tavern.
Thank you. Always a pleasure to be here.
And again, I will take it that you have already opened that tab now that you know the location.
Yes, exactly.
So, today we are talking about a subclass, and which we apparently maybe do not agree that much upon. I usually compare this subclass to having a ace and king in Texas Hold'em poker. That's offsuit. It's good, but not as good as you think it is, and often overvalued by newer players. But the subclass is the Rogue Assassin subclass. So, Jonas, first thoughts?
Well, my first thought is, as a fairly I still consider myself a fairly new player because I've only ever seriously played 5e, and I actually think it's an intriguing subclass.
Yeah. Well, I tend to agree with that. Intriguing, but again, in my opinion, have some issues. So let's start talking about it. So first, we'll do a quick introduction here. The Assassin Rogue. At third level, you gain proficiency with the Disguise Kit and the Poisoner's Kit. Also, you gain the ability Assassinate, uh, where you are the deadliest when you get the drop on your enemies. You have advantage and attack rolls against any creature that hasn't taken a turn in the combat yet. In addition, any hit you score against a creature that is surprised is a critical hit. Later down the line, at level 9, we get Infiltration Expertise. You can unfailingly create false identities for yourself. You must spend 7 days and 25 gold to establish the history, profession, and affiliations for an identity. You can't establish an identity that belongs to someone else. For this thing, you can acquire appropriate clothing, letters of introduction, and official looking certification to establish yourself as a member of a trading house or something similar. And after you've done this, you adopt your new identity as disguise, and other creatures believe you to be that person until given an obvious reason not to. Then at 13th level, you gain the ability to unerringly mimic another person's speech, writing, and behavior. You must spend at least 3 hours studying these 3 components of the person's behavior, listening to speech, examining handwriting, and observing mannerisms. Your rouse is indiscernible to the casual observer, but if a very creature suspects something is wrong, you do have advantage on this charisma deception check to avoid detection. And then finally, at the 17th level, you become a master of instant death. When you attack and hit a creature that is surprised, it must make a constitution saving throw with a DC of 8 plus your dexterity modifier and your proficiency bonus. And on a failed save, you double the damage of your attack against the creature, which of course stacks with the assassinate bonus, where you automatically score a critical hit against a surprised creature. So a lot of damage there.
A lot of potential damage,
A
yes.
lot of potential damage, and that is kind of my personal gripes with this subclass.
Well,
I think
let's
we'll go.
start with the level 3,
Yeah,
the
let's let
assassinate feature.
let's start with the assassinate feature. Your thoughts on the assassinate feature?
Well, I mean, it makes. I think it makes sense for what they're trying to do with the subclass. And again, uh, you have advantage on attack rolls against any creature that hasn't taken a turn in combat yet. I mean, that's first round shit if you have a high enough initiative. And just because they haven't taken a turn yet, you can still have a surprise attack on them. Those two aren't like there's. I I see it as essentially two features in the same feature here. If that makes sense to you.
Yeah, it does definitely. Um, my gripe with this I like the assassinate feature. Fluff wise, it's fantastic. It's great flavor. Um, my problem with it is, yeah, you're rogue, so you're dex based, but you still have a 5% chance to roll a one. And if you roll a one, you are low in the initiative, and all the enemies go first, then it's a dead feature. And also, it's only once per combat um, that you gain this feature. This is your level 3 feature. If you compare it to a lot of the other rogues, like my personal favorite rogue subclass is the Mastermind, he can use his feature every round.
Yeah, but how do you define the surprise condition? It's a condition. Let's agree
Yeah.
on that first. It's a condition.
Oh, yeah.
How
Yes.
do you define it?
That's the next part. The surprise part where you only score an attack against a creature. Surprise in D&D 5e is a condition. You have to be surprised,
Yeah.
and you can only be surprised when the GM. You can only have your enemies be surprised when the GM allows you to gain the upper hand.
That,
And that is again a problem with this because you need them to be surprised. That condition can only be achieved if the GM um, finds that you have done enough as either a single person sneaking around or as a group to sneak in on someone so none of them have seen you. If one person spots you, no surprise.
yeah,
That's the most
that's
um, harsh reading of this.
yeah. I would say that that's a very harsh reading on it because
But
I would argue, if I may,
go.
anytime that they don't spot you with their perception check when you're sneaking around as a rogue, I don't care what the rest of the party has. They're surprise conditioned against you.
But that's not how the surprise condition works, and
If
that's the problem. It's a condition that the GM gives the monsters. I will agree that what you just said makes sense, but that's not how the condition works, and that's the problem with this feature as written. You can't be surprised against one person. You're either surprised or not surprised, and that's like the problem with this feature. Um, at least the surprise part with it. And then there's also that if you gain a surprise action and you're the assassin rogue and you're going, yes, I can finally do this, and you roll your die, you're last in initiative, all the enemies move before you, then they will spend their turn not being surprised anymore, though having used their turn, and then you as the last person, even though you got the surprise condition on all your enemies, can't use it for anything. Also, you don't have advantage on your attack because they already moved and none are no longer surprised. So I like the feature, but I do not like that it's potential for being a dead feature. It's
I mean, I completely agree with the first part that you lose the advantage when you lose the initiative. But And I just looked up the basic rules for surprise, and it says the DM compares the dexterity stealth checks of anyone hiding with the passive wisdom perception score of each creature on the opposing side. Now, again, it does state that they're only surprised at the start of the encounter, but as a DM, I think it's one of those where like as raw rules as written, it makes absolutely no sense. But rules as intended, I hope that hiding as a rogue on the battlefield conditionally applies the surprise condition when you sneak up behind and stab someone. I would argue everyone's surprised when I all of a sudden stand behind them and stab them in the back.
Yeah, I agree. I will also give you advantage on the attack. But rules as written, they are not surprised. Because that's a condition. But I agree that as a GM, I would probably also be more lenient and go like, yeah, of course, you can do that. But
Yeah, I know. And for a new player that reads it, it states, I can only do this at the beginning of the turn. Like, the player still has to ask for it, I think. Because most of the time, you don't know what subclass they're. For example, in AL, when we play in town, you don't know what people's characters are necessarily unless you explicitly ask them, what are you playing in detail?
yeah, definitely. I actually had this a similar conversation with my brother, who was prepared another event, and he talked about making the rogue an assassin. And I was like, if you do that, you will have a player asking you 800 times, are they surprised? Because that's a condition. And I do think that one of the issues with the assassin is the surprise condition, and that the surprise condition needs a rework, or that the GM should be more lenient with it, and it would help the assassin rogue. But rules as written, it has issues with it here, and I have some solutions that might help alleviate some of the um, issues, and I will circle back to them. Yeah, if that's fine.
Yeah, sure.
Because now I just want to go what I think is wrong here.
Yes.
First, and then we have the bonus proficiencies. Get proficiency in poisonous kit and disguise kit.
Yeah.
It's thematic, fine. It's problem with proficiencies is you often forget you get them.
Yeah, and you only get the proficiency. You don't get the kits.
Well, yeah, but this is also a feature you get longer down the line, so maybe you do have the money for it. You have to go out and buy it. The only thing here is that a lot of the conditions, kits have this. They're not very well explained in the player's handbook. So you have to get Xanathar's guide if you really want to benefit from these. So if we move on to like the next features of it, it is the infiltration expertise. And I've actually chosen here in my notes to take this together with the imposter feature that you get at 13th level. Because I am looking at both of these features and going, I would allow any creature to do this. Any character. Well, at least try to do it. 7 days, 25 gold per day. No, 25 gold, 7 days to establish a personality that you could impersonate. Sure, go ahead. You want to spend the time, spend the gold. try. And
Yeah,
same with
I think the whole different, exactly what you're saying there is the it says in the beginning unfailingly.
yes, that is one thing. I would still allow if they spend 7 days and gold, maybe a bit more than 25, um, to establish a profile. I would definitely at least allow them to try, and maybe not even with advantage if you spend so long to do it. And it's kind of the same with the imposter feature where you only mimic someone. If you spend 3 hours looking at someone, going, okay, and they also, how do you get 3 hours to just look at someone and do so? How do they speak? How do they talk? But that's another thing. Just like,
Have you never creeped at a party?
usually I stand in the corner and going like, when can I go home again?
True.
So that's my thing with this. It's a level 13 feature that anyone basically can do. Maybe it'll be more time consuming than 3 hours, more a longer period, I think. But it's basically something anyone can do. And it's the same with the level 19. This is not a level 3 feature. It's not a low level feature. This is mid level features. And at the same time, you have something like the Soul Knife, who can teleport as a level 19 feature, and can use his psionic die to reroll an attack. And then you compare it to this, and you're like, huh, I can spend 7 days to do something someone else could do as well in 7 days.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
I
the
like
thing is, the
I
thing
like
is,
the fluff. I like the fluff. I like the I'm
exactly.
sneaking in to assassinate someone. I like it.
You are an established butler. That's why you get hired at the mansion.
Yeah.
That's what you essentially create document, and not even. I mean, it's letter. It's official looking certificates. It's like letters of introduction. They're not necessarily false.
But if try and compare it. Take an arcane trickster. Give him the extra feat. He can cast the spell illusion. Not the spell. Change self. What's it called? He can use magic to change his appearance. Then the arcane trickster does this better at level 3. 4. He needs a feat. Uh,
Yeah,
for that for that high
I
level.
would still say that, like, comparing it to the arcane trickster that has disguise self, or whatever the spell's name is right now,
Yeah.
is like how would you think about doing this? When would you think, hey, I can use 7 days and 25 gold plus to create another identity for myself that I can just, I have a drawer full of fake passports. I can just pop out, and now I'm Timothy, now I'm Jermaine, now I'm Ricky. And then, when do you think about that unless it's a feature of your subclass?
Well, imagine this: you are told, "Oh, your target will be at the big ball tomorrow. They need servers." Oh, yeah, sure. I can make this perfect disguise and tell them that I'm a server with great
Then
credentials.
why would you do that? I would just like go try and be hired as a server.
That's also an option, but then you look at but again, that's the problem with the assassin feature. You just try and
And
be hired anyways.
yeah,
So,
but
so, so
I don't. I would say that you're an infiltration expert. You won't try to be hired as a server.
yeah, well, an example, but it's
Yeah,
there's
I know.
definitely
I
some
know.
there's 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 some issues with this being a ninth level feature. This is where most campaigns reach the high point, and then this is a seventh level feature, and the other one is a 13th level feature, and where you can write the same way as someone else.
I'm, I'm, I can see some of what you're saying, but another thing is this: you don't have to spend the 7 days every time. You spend 7 days creating a false identity that you keep with you.
Yeah, that's true.
It's not like a one-time thing. It's like, oh, I need to infiltrate this place. Now I have to spend another 7 days. Like, oh, I can choose between the 3 options that I already created, and like, what would work. Oh, I'm a well-renowned butler. I can get hired as a top server, or
Yeah,
I'm an expert chef, or at least my paper says I am.
yeah.
And then I go poison the emperor.
But we again still have that is true. And again, I don't hate this at all. But it's a ninth level feature. So
If you put it into Adventures League, I can see the problem with it. It won't. It will never basically work.
yeah.
I
So
mean,
there's
unless they
definitely some.
specify that you can spend 7
Yeah,
downtime days,
yeah,
you can't create a persona.
yeah. So there's definitely some uses in home games, but the Adventure Leagues, very rarely, in my opinion.
And in Adventures League, you just let your battle master pull out a fake identity and then let him fucking infiltrate the place anyway.
Yeah.
When you get an interdimensional plumber visiting
Oh,
a bandit hideout, you fucking roll with it.
oh god, that's so funny. That was someone who made. I'm pretty sure someone did something like that at one of our Adventure League games, at a table I wasn't playing on, but I did hear about
Yeah.
it.
He made art for it and everything.
That's funny. So, ready to talk about the last one?
Yeah.
Yeah. The last one, the Death Strike. A lot of dice, a lot of dice at level 17. Also because if you do hit a surprise creature, you are also critting them. My problem with this one is again, it's a level 17 feature that has a high chance of failing or not being usable because I just did a quick sweep through some of the creatures you're fighting at that level, and a lot of them have a constitution at best. Of course, disregarding tomes and stuff. If you have a dexterity of 20 and you have a proficiency bonus of +5, then the DC is 20. And a lot of the creatures at this level have a constitution save of +9 or more, which gives you a 45% chance to do nothing, even if you gain the surprise condition with your level 17 feature.
I can
That's
see that.
that's a
I get
high
that.
chance for your level 17 feature to do nothing. Also,
Yeah.
because the creatures you really want to hit, the big bosses, if you manage to get get them in a situation where you have the possibility of surprise, they often have legendary resistance. And then you hit them with this big smack death strike, and they go like, no. Uh, so, or even some of them are just completely immune to the surprise condition.
True, but that's a problem with everything.
Yeah,
Yeah, I do acid damage. I'm immune to acid damage. I do
yeah,
fire damage. I do piercing damage. I'm immune to piercing damage. I don't know how it works. Don't ask me. I'm immune to it.
yeah. so, so my problem with it is just it's a level 17 feature that the bosses, the people you want to use it on, have high constitution saves, and sometimes are immune to surprised, and or some of them have legendary resistance. So there's a lot of nope buttons against this. Um, so there's some issues. I like it. I want to roll that many die. Obviously, but again, some issues in my opinion.
I mean, with the level 17 feature, I can see the like, but then again, again compared to the Arcane Trickster, that that also has a saving throw on its 17th level ability.
Yeah. I
And I mean, the Death
I
Strike is still, it's just to double the damage. Use
yeah
your Poisonous Kit to get a 12d6 poison damage on your weapon too.
yeah, but you need to be strategic with who you're targeting with it, because even though it is a potential big hit on the big bad war guy, you could also just take out one of his minion, swinging the action economy in your favor. And maybe that may be a better use, even though you really want to try and hit the big guy, because we all want to hit the big guy.
Yeah, but don't you need to be strategic with everything,
Yeah,
except for the Barbarian?
but then again, you could argue: is the assassin the strategic one, or he?
I would say he's actually one of the more strategic subclasses there is, because he has to get the drop on people to be like as powerful as his potential allows him. He has to get the drop on people. That means he has to be strategic. He has to know when to drop in from the roof right before the rest of the party shows up, so he can get a surprise round.
Then why doesn't he give some kind of advantage to doing stuff like that?
I mean, the rogue already does, and he does gain
Yeah,
the
well,
proficiency with the disguise kit. And again, I would say your infiltration expertise. You have established a persona that is a highly skilled bodyguard. You know how to spot the fake assassins. Who would the big bad want next to him, except for the one guy that can actually spot assassins that are trying to assassinate him? That gives you the drop on the big bad. It still has the saving throw on your 17th level ability, but you're standing right next to him. Even if the rest of the party just barges through the door when you stab him, I would argue he's still surprised.
that I would give that a surprise action. That I will say as well. If they suddenly barge in and you, then there's surprise, definitely. Um,
I mean,
um,
I still have
but
a hard
that,
time with the imposter feature. I don't know how to effectively use it, because I throw me like you said, disguise self ability. I'm just someone else.
my biggest issue with the imposter builds is still a lot of people could technically do it if with a good enough save check. Like if you have the extra feat, you're also very good at attempt to be someone else.
Yeah,
And
but you have to take a feat to get that.
yeah, but we can do that at level 4. This is level 13. So that's my biggest issues with those two is that they are split up and they're both and they're such high level features without being that good, and you still have to use a lot of time and energy and stuff for it. Um, so like my part of my proposed fix, which we'll talk about in a bit, is also like lumping them together into one feature, the infiltration and the imposter, because at least not as much into one feature mayhaps, but more like you get them at the same time.
I could see that working.
Yeah,
Again, I
because
really like the
it's too high.
infiltration expertise thing, but
Yeah, it feels like
not so much in the imposter.
two small features, and if you lump them together, it would actually be okay, in my opinion, with the small tweaks. Um, but we could move on to talk about my potential fixes if you want.
Let's try to talk about the fixes.
Assassinate feature. We both agree we like it.
Very much so.
We don't like that it can be a dead feature. Um, so what I propose to fix this is that assassin rogue should have some kind of advantage bonus to initiative to reduce the chance of going last, because if you go last, you lose it all. And there's always a possibility. And it should already come here at level 3. If it's an initiative bonus, an ability modifier bonus, a proficiency bonus, a die, or a maybe just a straight out advantage, I am not sure what I like most. But you should something to help him move up the initiative order. So not only does it not go to waste his feature, but also he has more options about who to target.
I can see what you're talking about, but sometimes, talking about a subclass, we most of the time forget what races a specific class synergizes with. Because I know we have the whole new Tasha's thing where we get to choose our own racial modifiers. But back in the days, you would usually go with halfling when you chose a rogue. You have blend into the crowd. It gives you advantage on high stealth checks.
Why would you take a halfling when the kobold is right there?
I know, but that's even if you needed Volos to do that.
Yeah, I know. But
and you get the lucky and you roll a run on the d20.
Yeah.
For an attack roll, ability check, or saving throw, rerolls.
Then you roll a 1, a 2.
Yeah, I know, but that's still better than a 1.
Well,
and there's still the chance that the bad guys roll a 1.
Yeah, I would still really like for this. I'm still thinking that the difficult part about trying to improve a rogue subclass is you are still a rogue, and the rogue is very good. It's, in my opinion, one of the mechanically most well-rounded classes in the game, and has a lot of options. I really like it, and I want to play it more than I do, but there's a lot of.
I haven't played it myself, so.
Yeah. So you always have to take that balance. So because the rogue is very good, so doesn't the subclass. You are all, no matter what subclass with the rogue you take, you're good because you are a rogue.
I know. I mean, you still get your sneak attack, even.
Yeah. Still get your sneak attack. You still get expertise. You still get evasion. Yeah. You still get uncanny dodge. There's a lot of things you still get as a rogue. So you're never in a bad. You're very rarely in a situation where you don't have some kind of option. So then you always have to balance it. But what I'm thinking, it's okay with an initiative bonus here, is that if you take the swashbuckler, he gets an initiative bonus equal to his charisma modifier. So I don't think it's that bad an idea.
Nope.
Yeah, charisma. So maybe to balance it out, it should be based upon some other ability modifier. And I am not sure which one though. Maybe intelligence.
You mean like adding another ability modifier to the initiative roll?
Yeah. Like the swashbuckler adds dexterity and charisma. Could also be charisma, actually. If you add charisma,
I would actually say let it be charisma.
Yeah, because then also synergizes with the blending in, trying to be someone else features.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
I'm lying to you so I can react before you in combat.
Yeah.
I'm standing next to the big bad guy. Of course, I get to add my charisma because I charisma myself here.
Yeah, I like that.
That could actually work. Like,
also, I was very much toying with the idea of proficiency bonus, but I don't want it to be just cumulative. I think it's, even though the Heron Gone race does give proficiency bonus to initiative. I think it's too good on a rogue subclass, especially at level 3. Then the other thing I want to change, I'm not sure if it should be another small feature next to the assassinate or part of the assassinate. Is that I always say that one of the biggest problems with the assassin is the rest of the party, because they can screw you up on any stealth check.
Yeah, on group stealth checks.
Yeah. On any stealth check that you are a part of a group, and often in D&D you are moving as part of a group. Often, not always.
I mean, I would, yeah. I mean that's true, but as an assassin rogue, and you know that, then why won't you say I'm ahead of the party? I'm not part of that group check. I mean, any reasonable GM would allow you to scout 20 feet ahead and not be part of the group check.
Yeah, definitely.
And
I agree.
that's as an assassin rogue, your obligation to remember that.
Yeah, but there still will be now and then situations where you have to sneak with the group, and then there's the guy in the heavy armor.
I mean, but
As we saw like
everyone.
last time to our at our Adventures League event where you GM'd, we
Yeah.
were a couple of guys in heavy armor, and we were never hitting that stealth check.
No,
It was a high stealth check.
One of you hit it once, I
Yeah,
think.
in 5 attempts.
Yeah.
So I proposed, because I was actually looking at this. I was like, huh, how would this be too something? And then I saw that if you see it, look at the fluff for the assassin rogue. It says that those who adhere to this archetype are diverse: hired killers, spies, bounty hunters, and even specially anointed priests trained to exterminate the enemies of their deity. And this got me thinking about the trickery cleric. He can give someone advantage on a stealth check for an hour, and I got inspired by this, and I propose a feature where the assassin, because he knows so much about how to sneak and how to make things not make noise, he can for an hour he can remove someone's disadvantage to stealth for wearing the heavy armor, because this would still and he would be able to do it for an amount of people equal to proficiency bonus. But other than that, work like the trickery cleric for an hour or until you do it again. Because if you do it to remove the disadvantage from heavy armor, that's the difference. The trigger domain gives disadvantage. No, gives advantage. Sorry. So that's the difference with this. So if you do it like this, then you more have like it's not if you just gave advantage to someone,
Yeah, I know.
that would be much better, of course. But just removing the disadvantage, that's for more people. I think that's better for what
Yeah,
the
but
assassin rogue wants to do.
I wouldn't necessarily put that in as a feature, because again, as you're one of the things you said earlier about one of the other things is everyone can do that. I'll cut up my cape and stuff it in between his armor pieces so they don't clank that much. I mean, I would still associate a roll with it to do it properly, but I could potentially remove his disadvantage. That's
Yeah, but
creative thinking. Let's award it.
yeah, definitely. But this has the extra, more meta ability of getting the rogue to think about it.
And again,
And then,
sorry to say,
and then
what professional assassin would walk around with a paladin?
yeah, a vengeance paladin.
Yeah, I mean oath of
Yeah,
vengeance, stuff like that, oath
yeah,
breakers.
there's some, but it's just like just giving the option of doing it without failure, like you talked about with the infiltration expertise ability. It's without failure. Like the other thing, the GM would say, yeah, you can try. to do stuff like that.
True.
But-
And
so it's
another
more
thing, I would
like
actually like instead of I think I mean that's to like combat the group check stealth thing that you're bound to fail if you travel with the wrong party. But I think one of the things that would do a similar thing, like let's get discovered, let's get into combat, and I run behind this pillar and hide, and I climb up on the roof and drop down. Let's remove the whole it has to be surprised as a condition for the critical hit to apply. Make it hidden. Any hit you score against a creature while hidden.
oh,
I mean that is very OP in some way, and
see, that's
critical with sneak attack.
that's definitely a
But
lot for a level 3 feature. If you're hitting your critical hit. Ooh.
I mean then let's stuff it into the death strike later. But I mean that's one of the things, like when you say surprise is a condition, and rules as written, you can only get surprised at the beginning of an encounter.
Hmm.
So
I
it's a first turn thing, and then your feature is dead.
yeah, I have something for that later, actually. For one
Unless
of the
you have a benevolent DM that will apply surprise conditions.
yeah. Um, I do see what I think it's a lot for a level 3 feature.
I mean, I could see that it's a lot. I mean, let's this is just a suggestion. Let's work on it. I mean,
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
but let, we need to get rid of the surprise condition in some form of way in that feature.
Yeah. Or do something else, which I'll come back to.
Yes.
So what we're talking about, maybe may give a feature to help with the group's disadvantage. Also, so to get the rogue thinking about it, to make it less hurtful for the rogue when he's forced to be in a group.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that, but then again, if enough times his feature is not working because of the party not being stealthy, he will start thinking about it anyways.
Some will.
Or the player might get bored and won't play that feature,
Yeah.
that archetype again. But you know,
Yeah. So I'll write able to remove disadvantage from X amount of people. X is
I
still
would say that that's like or actually another some form of non-magical way to get the pass without a trace spell condition. I mean,
yeah.
give them a +10 to their stealth somehow. I don't
Yeah.
know how it works. It just does.
Yeah, I was like, the other day I was again I was talking with my brother, where I said again one of the biggest features flaws with the assassin rogue is the rest of the party. So maybe you have 3 levels in triggery domain to alleviate it, because then
Yeah.
you get pass without trace, you get the ability to give the advantage on a stealth check.
Yeah.
So
I
that's
mean, it
where some of my
synergizes.
ideas. It's where some of my ideas are coming from. Is looking at the triggery, the main cleric.
Yeah, and another thing is we need it to synergize with other classes and other sub races, because then why would you like? I mean, if the assassin can do it on his own, why would he ever travel with a party, or not just a party of assassins?
Yeah, but that's also what I wanted to be able to give the stealth thingy, because then you give him some options to be in the party, and you have to and you give him make him less annoyed about being with the party, because you don't want your how to say this. Some people who looks at the assassin rogue and sees it wants to play the lone wolf.
True.
This gives them more reasons to be with the party, or at least makes it more less stressful for them to be with the party, trying to help with the team balance, team play. But there's also then he can still do all his assassin stuff, sneak ahead and stuff. So it's just to alleviate when you are forced to be with the party.
Yeah, it's an option. I could see it as an option. But then again, I still feel that like that would be taking something away for, let's say, for example, a ranger or a trickery domain cleric.
Well, it's not take more like synergy
Because
and
then
stuff.
what's their feature used for if the assassin can do it anyway?
Giving advantage, never getting.
The features don't stack, do they?
Oh yes, they do. Because one removes disadvantage, and the other one gives
True,
advantage. So it's two different
true.
things. Um, um, so something to help him with being better in the group,
Yeah, and
or
then again,
less
removing
less
the
annoyed.
removing the party condition.
The worst condition for the rogue is the party condition.
Exactly.
Unless you use them to sneak attack. So
That's why you get the kobold.
if you speak about the level 9 feature, um, I want, as I said, I want to combine to give both what were they called? Infiltration expertise and imposter at level 9. Oh wait, I actually forgot something at level 3. There's the, the bonus proficiencies, which I said everyone forgets.
Well, you said
They're
it.
they're fine, as I said, but I want to make it so that if you already have the proficiency, you get expertise, and also if you at later level gain the proficiency, you gain expertise instead. So you're better at using it.
I could yeah. So you what you're saying is if you have a race or a background that gives it two,
Yeah, it's
you
if you
just
have
get expertise in it instead.
yeah
Yes, I
yeah
can see that working.
small change, nothing big, in my opinion, uh, and helps with your other features.
Yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
back back to level 9. Uh, um, yeah, combine the two features not into one feature, but give them at the same time. And then instead of using a week to craft your persona, you can do it a day. So you can craft these personas faster. You are again, you are a infiltration expertise.
Yeah, but
So
you're an infiltration expert. You're
yeah,
not like a forgery expert. You're not. You still have to bribe people. I mean, 25 gold for some people doesn't sound like very much, but a, a decent artisan only earns a gold a day.
hmm,
So 25 gold is 25 days worth of work. So have someone say, "Oh yes, he works for. Like, here's my stamp on approval on this," and it takes 7 days to talk to people, and it might not even be in the same town. You have the whole like 10 towns, for example, in Icewind Dale. I would argue if you have to establish yourself there, you have to go to all 10 towns. So, because you know, even though they're different towns, they're a close knit community. I would argue the 7 days is fair. I would even argue let's up the price on the gold a little bit, maybe. Because again, you need to bribe enough people to establish, like
yeah,
a footpath, history. And
yeah,
again, unless you have a forgery kit and you know how to use it, you're not making those letters of introduction. You're not making those official looking certifications.
that is true.
So
Um,
you need to hire people to do it. So again, I would argue the 7 days is like to some maybe even a little low.
uh, uh, I will tend to agree with you. But I then also want to give advantage on checks towards keeping up your disguise and disadvantage on checks to discover you. Because the feature does not give that. A reasonable GM will say it, but the feature does not give it to you.
Yeah, but then again, I would argue, let's just for now keep them separate. The level 9 feature, infiltration expertise. You unfailingly create this. Why? I mean, unless you're being there, like a super offensive detective is trying to find you and figure out all your aliases. Then why would the common merchant who you're trying to infiltrate his establishment not believe you?
I'm not saying, but if the situation arises, it should be advantage or disadvantage.
I mean, if he's already suspicious of you, but you keep proving, like,
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I definitely do, but I'm just like saying, so maybe you slip up.
I
There
mean,
should
I could
be
see that happening.
some kind of advantage. I think there should be advantage to like, oh, yeah, sorry, I meant. As of course, in many games, you can save it as a player if you are just talkative enough.
Yeah.
And again, the most GMs will like, okay, yeah, sure, let's slide. I just want to see it baked into the feature.
To be completely honest, I don't see anything. Like, I mean, it's already really good for as a level 9 feature on an already powerful rogue. I really can't see like if that. I don't see that as an improvement necessarily. I would say giving the rogue maybe an unfair advantage. Because again, it already states it's unfailing.
Yeah. The Scott,
My identity
everything you
as
create is unfailing. There's nothing wrong with the things you create, but your disguise is not perfect. It's not
yeah, but
your
it's not a
role. You
disguise.
still have to um, live it out.
I mean, I I can see some of what you're saying, but
Yeah.
again, it states like you're from a trading house from a remote city. Like I'm from the other end of the country. You don't know how we act down there necessarily. So even if I say how do you do to a fancy merchant, that's just how we greet each other where I'm from. Why would
I
he
think
believe otherwise? I have documentation that I'm basically from another country.
yeah, it's that's I see what you mean. At this, yeah,
I mean, if I establish that I'm from his rival company or something like, same town as we're in, then yes, he should, in some form of way, be able to discern it. But my documentation is that I'm from, you know, I I don't remember any town names outside of the Sword Coast right now. Uh,
am.
yeah, I'm from the other side of the Anorak Desert. I mean, how would he know?
Yeah, well, that's true. I still, you said it's very strong for ninth level feature. I do not agree. Uh,
Yeah, I know.
so I still want to push it in there with the imposter feature at level 9. Uh, they can work in tandem and in two different situations. Um, and maybe if they're just you get them at the same level, they're just fine as they are. I'm not sure, and I don't think any of them deserves to be at a higher level.
No,
Because
I
even
think
though they have their uses, they are not that good. In
I
my
mean, I could see the infiltration expertise working like that. That solely depends on the DM and how good you are talking as a player.
yeah,
And I could, I mean, again, I wouldn't necessarily stuff the advantage disadvantage thing into the feature. I would, just as a DM say, I mean, you have advantage on this persuasion check because you are an established merchant, and he has a disadvantage to recognize that you're not talking merchant lingo.
Okay. I think we will leave it at agreeing to disagree.
That's the best thing.
Because I would like it baked in because not all GMs will be lenient about it.
I know.
And I still want the imposter feature here as well at level 9. That's also because I have something else for the level 13 ability.
What do you have for level 13 instead then?
I will tell you. It does not have a name. And I can't find a proper fluff to it. I just want it to work this way. As a bonus action, you can target one creature within 60 feet. Until the start of your next turn, you treat that creature as if it was surprised. You can use this feature an amount of times equal to your proficiency bonus. Because this will help you even against creatures that are immune to surprise. And of course, you could get back on a long rest, not on a short rest. It's 5 times a day you can get this bonus section. And then you give up all the other good stuff that rogues can do in bonus sections, because there's a lot. But I really like the idea of treating someone as if they were surprised, so that you can gain your features more times per day. Because
I hate to say this, but that's actually a good idea.
right,
Yeah,
and it's a level 13, so you still have to get a lot of levels in rogue to get this.
Yeah, it's not like just something you get at. You have to invest into the character to get that feature.
Yeah, so I'm just going to talk a bit about, because I don't have a lot. I have no clue how to improve Death Strike, to be honest, because I actually think it's a fine ability when it works. But this gives you more options of getting Death Strike to work. It gives more options to get the Assassinate, the extra ability of Assassinate to work. And if I'm not sure if they're surprised you gain advantage. I'm not sure about that, but you treat them as if they were surprised. And then it's up to you as the player to get yourself into the positions where you can benefit from this.
No, this just to specify, the surprise condition is just doesn't let you take a turn unless as long as you're surprised. So you're not applying the surprise condition to the enemy. You're just treating them as if it was there.
Yeah, they are not surprised, but you are treating them as if they are surprised.
Like I think one of the sorcerers can remove resistances to whatever elemental damage they're doing.
I don't know how it would be fluffed. I have thought about it a lot. I have no clue. I just like the idea that they act as if they're that you treat them as if they're surprised.
I hate to say this, but I actually like it.
Yeah, right.
A lot. I like a lot.
Yeah, because then you
just get rid of the fucking imposter and then throw in like
then you
surprise motherfucker.
You get the choice of when you want to use your feature.
Yeah.
It gets you. It makes you active instead of reactive, and you don't have to fight as much for getting that precious first round of surprise.
No, and again, as you're saying, the death strike, unless you hit them when they're surprised, it's a dead feature.
Yeah, and even then, a lot of creatures 45% chance that they'll make the save. Legendary resistances, immunity surprise. This, what's it called? This solves so much of that. It gives you the choice.
Yeah.
And that is what I want. Does not, and it doesn't. Again, it also lives up to the lone wolf thing with the assassin, that it's you that gain it. Your teammates don't. I know I talked about being a better teammate before, but your teammates, it doesn't like give a full round of advantage, for example. This just gives him, he is treated as if he was surprised. Then you
Yeah.
can smack him in the face.
Yes, please.
And I want
And I actually wholeheartedly believe let's just get rid of the imposter. And then stuff that in there instead.
but I like the thing about the imposter that you can actually try to duplicate one person, a specific person, because the infiltration expertise this specifically says it cannot be a specific person. Well,
No,
the other
but
one is a specific person.
unless you have some, I would almost say magical way of changing your appearance. I can't disguise. I mean, I might be able to do it if I was 13th level rogue, but I can't disguise myself as you.
No, but
Even if I spend 3 hours studying you.
But you can like act up the sound and the mannerisms and the handwriting of a specific person with the imposter. So I still like the imposter feature, and because I don't think that the skill expertise, sorry, that's a feat. Because I don't believe that the infiltration expertise feature is strong enough to stand alone. Put the imposter feature in with it at level 9. Boom, those two right there, and then at level 13, smack him with the surprise as a bonus action.
I could see that working, like a rewritten version of the imposter feature at level 9.
A rewritten.
Yeah, again, I don't like I mean, unless you have some magical way of changing, then why would I need to mimic your talk?
That is true. I also saw
I
in my
mean, unless I'm
preparation.
forging a letter from you, like, I mean, I could see that working. Like,
Yeah,
I'm. How do you write? How do you structure your sentences and stuff like that? But then again, what does that have to do with your behavior? Would
yeah.
you even send a letter?
There's also the funny thing that you can, as a preparation for this, I saw a video with the dungeon dudes talking about the assassin rogue, and they said that this feature, imposter feature, basically makes you able to sound like being a halfling, sounding like a half orc, but you don't look like a half orc.
Yeah, exactly.
But you do have an advantage telling everyone else that you're a half orc.
Yeah, but then again, it's a basically impossible lie. The DC would be high.
Yeah, exactly.
So unless you got expertise in deception and a maxed out
Yeah,
charisma, you're failing that impossible check at
yeah,
35 DC.
exactly. So something needs to be done, but the imposter feature, we are not sure. Some kind of improvement.
I mean, level it down and somehow integrate it into infiltration expertise.
Yeah. So
Like me, know how to act and talk like a bodyguard or a merchant or a fisherman, or you have to study fishermen for at least 3 hours out of the 7 days to
yeah,
unerringly talk like a fisherman.
yeah. So so if we were to summarize this, at level 3, we want the bonus proficiencies to give expertise if you gain it from another source.
Yeah.
We want the assassinate. We want the assassinate ability to also give you a charisma modifier bonus to initiative. We want and being able to remove disadvantage from X amount of people that's caused by heavy armor.
I would say like up to your ability, the
Dex
thing,
modifier, charisma modifier,
the ability
proficiency
now,
bonus,
your proficiency modifier up to
proficiency
proficiency
bonus.
modifier a day.
Yeah.
Like you can do it to
X amount
two
of day.
people. Yeah,
Oh,
so
yeah.
it's not, we have to sneak through this castle, but only 2 times a day I can remove your disadvantage.
Yeah, I
So
think that's
I have
fine.
to do it on the important stealth checks.
Yeah, I think it's fine also because I don't believe that there will be that many forced group checks where you have to be part of it in most games.
I mean, just I still just then why wouldn't he be part of the group checks if he can remove disadvantage every time?
Yeah,
And he can
exactly.
only do it to one person at a time.
Yeah, that's fine. So proficiency bonus amount of times per day you can remove the disadvantage from heavy armor in regards to stealth checks.
Or between rests. I don't know.
Uh,
I need to think a bit more about that one. If I'm
let's leave it at long rest.
Yes, let's leave it at
Yeah.
long rest.
We have the level 9 ability. Grab that imposter feature, smack it down here, build it into the infiltration expertise.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then at level 13, it was as a bonus action, you can choose one target within 60 feet until the start of your next turn. You treat that creature as if it was surprised. You can use this feature an amount of times equal to your proficiency bonus. So giving you the choice. And then Death Strike, leave it as it is. When it works, it works. It's really cool when it works. Sometimes it just won't work. But with the new level 13 ability, you have more situations to use it, more chance of it to work. Yeah.
And somewhere in there between everything, I don't want to make it part of a feature. Just make a note to the rogue that remember to use your fucking poisons.
You have proficiency in poisons, kid. Use it.
Exactly, because I just looked up some of the poisons you can actually reasonably get in D&D at the levels you get the features. I mean, getting purple worm poison isn't like unreasonable, and it's 12d6 poison damage on
Yeah.
top of your damage.
Yeah.
I mean, and
Poisons are
it's a
definitely
DC
underutilized.
19 Constitution saving throw.
Yeah. Poisons are definitely underutilized in the most games I've played. I
And
don't think I've
I
actually
would
ever seen it.
no, and I would actually argue, like with your death strike, that's part of the damage that in your attack.
Yeah.
So that
Definitely.
would be doubled too, and it's a dice roll. So even with a crit, you double it.
Yeah. 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 When you attack on a failed save, double the damage of your attack against the creature.
It just says double your
Yeah.
damage,
So that's also I would agree. I would argue as well that it would also be the poison damage.
and it's with the crit as well, because double every dice you roll.
So much
I don't
damage.
remember how exactly it's worded, but every dice that's part of your attack
Yeah.
gets doubled.
I played with a GM once who said that on a crit you rolled all your dice as maximum. This
I
would
mean,
hurt.
I've heard about the the standard attack is maximum damage, and then you roll another damage die.
Mm.
The first roll is considered maximum, and then you roll the crit on top of
Yeah,
it.
but this was just damage. It hurt. This would hurt a lot.
Yeah, especially considering that he's gonna do the same to you with every monster he rolls a crit on.
That's true. But yeah, so with this, I think we will conclude our time in the tavern today.
Yes.
And yeah, well, pay your tap, keep it open for next time.
I'm just gonna leave it open this time.
And thank you for joining, and thank you for listening.